Is there a martial arts style or system that is the best? What say ye about this? I've heard people say you've got to check this new style out. You've got to check the art of this out or the art of that out. I haven't seen anything better than that. And if you have watched movies over the years, action martial arts movies that is, you've seen people jump from one thing to the next, one trend to the next. For example, there was the Bruce Lee era. After the Bruce Lee era began to subside a little bit around the late 70s, early 80s, then came the ninja movies. Sho Kosugi was one of the key players in those movies. And after the ninja movies, when people were getting accustomed to ninjitsu, that particular martial art, there were people saying, "I want to be a ninja," and then you heard people talking about studying ninjitsu and so forth. After the ninjitsu era, then you had people looking at the UFC, late 80s, early 90s, when the Gracies came into view, into the public's view, that is. Then it was mixed martial arts. Even though mixed martial arts has been around before the UFC and before the Gracies, it's nothing new. It was nothing new. So everybody wanted to jump on the bandwagon. They're doing Brazilian Ju-jit-su now, or they're doing Ju-jitsu, or they're doing MMA, mixed martial arts. It's kind of funny, odd. All of a sudden someone is giving mixed martial arts some credibility that already existed, as a matter of fact. In this particular instance, it was shared inside of the confines of a so-called octagon cage. They call that mixed martial arts. That's another topic for a future video. But anyway, right around that time, after the Jiu-Jitsu became more popular in America and then across the world, you find people who became familiar with Steven Seagal somewhere around that same period of time in Aikido. And people wanted to go to the Aikido schools. Okay, once they saw his movie Above the Law and Out for Justice, I believe was another name, and Under Siege, so forth. Everybody wanted to do Aikido. Oh, Aikido is bad. It's really slick. I like the movements and so forth. It's so fluid. Okay, Aikido had been around a long time before Steven Seagal, and Aikijitsu as well. So, as time progressed, an actor and martial artist by the name of Tony Jai came into the movie business in America. He became popular for another art that's been around for a long time, Muay Thai. Now everyone wants to do Muay Thai. You see the transition from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And I was remiss, let's back up to the 70s again, when Bruce Lee created his system of fighting called Jeet Kune. Then people wanted to do Jeet Kune during that time as well. So it's been many things. Okay, so I've heard people say over the years, Wing Chun is a superior art. Wing Chun Kung Fu, I studied that. And I've heard people talk about how devastating Taekwondo was and its kicks and so forth. I studied that as well. Judo and Jiu-jitsu, studied that as well. But there are literally thousands, I'm being nice when I say this, thousands of martial arts styles and systems in existence. There are some that are really core to what we call the science of fighting, and then everything else pretty much splinters from those core arts. In other words, striking arts for the most part, let's say karate. Basically and fundamentally, all karate styles have striking in common. Reverse punch, back fist, or uraken, uh, front kick, side kick, back kick, and their katas are very similar, just depending on their origin, Japan, Okinawa, and so forth. But fundamentally, they are the same. The names and the families or the rules, RYUS, rules, are different. Katas are different, but very similar, movement-wise. But basically, it's karate. And then you have Jiu-Jitsu. You have different schools of Jiu-Jitsu. There are some things that are a little bit different from one school to the next, but fundamentally, it's still Jiu-Jitsu. Now, Jiu-Jitsu is the predecessor to Judo, or the grandparent of Judo. You have your throws, okay, Ippon Sanagi, Tamanashi, Ogoshi, Haragoshi, Taitoshi, all of these different things. You have all the throws, okay, and then you have your arm locks, wrist locks, ankle locks, and so forth. Your locks, chokes, and holds in Jiu-Jitsu, okay. But from family to family, fundamentally, they're still the same. The basics, the fundamentals are the same. They just differ slightly, okay. And then you have Kung Fu, or Gung Fu. Now, the word Gung Fu refers not to a martial art at all. This is a little gold nugget that I'm sharing with you. A lot of people don't know this. Now, there are some people who think that they're so intelligent in the martial arts that they know everything. They hear me make this statement and say, I didn't know that was true, but it is. Kung Fu has absolutely nothing to do with martial arts. We've accepted the term Kung Fu as martial arts, or Gung Fu now as martial arts. The word translated in Chinese means one who is skilled at. No matter what you're skilled at. You can be skilled at sewing. That's good Kung Fu. You can be skilled at carpentry, hammering the nail in. That's good Kung Fu. If you're good at basketball, you could have good Kung Fu. Now, bringing it on home, if you actually are studying a martial art from China, Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, Hapgar, Hungar, Wushu, those martial arts systems or styles, you would still be considered as someone who's good at or skilled at that particular craft or art. So Kung Fu became popular as a term. It became commonplace in America and now across the world because of the television series with David Carradine back in the 60s called, guess what? Kung Fu. That's why and how Kung Fu became more popular as a martial arts title, as it were, in America and across the planet because of the 70s TV series with David Carradine, where he played a character named Kwai Chang Caine. He's deceased. God rest his soul. Now that role was actually intended for Bruce Lee, who's no longer here as well. But anyway, that's another story. But the television show was called Kung Fu. The character's name was Kwai Chang Caine, and I would remember back in the day, I would have friends saying, did you see Kung Fu fight those people? I said, that's not his name. I said, they're talking about what he's demonstrating, the martial arts. They're calling it Kung Fu. His name is Kwai Chang Caine. David Carradine is playing that character. So American people did not know what the word Kung Fu meant. So they were calling the character Kung Fu until later on, after they began to, I guess, get invested in the show, and they found out what his name really was. So I said all of that to say this, not to bore your patience. The word Kung Fu, again, means one that is skilled at, no matter what you're skilled at. You can be skilled at singing. That's good Kung Fu. You can go look it up on your own. You don't have to take my word for it. I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, getting back to the original premise of this video, what martial art is the best? I touched on karate, and then there are other things that they call karate, the Korean martial arts. They call them Korean karate. No such thing as that. Karate is indigenous to Okinawa, Japan. Koreans are actually not doing what we call karate. They're doing their own specific arts, or practicing their own specific arts. The Koreans have their art: taekwondo, tong sudo, hapkido, gumdo, kuksowan, and harangdo, and so forth. Those are Korean arts. Okay, they're not called karate because that's really a disgrace to their culture. Karate, even though the Japanese invaded their country back in the 40s, they are not doing karate per se. And you have the Chinese martial arts, which are older than the Japanese and Okinawan arts. You have, I mentioned some before, there's Shaolin, which is a temple. The word Shaolin means temple in the forest. Okay, that's what that term actually means. And it's comprised of many arts. Wing Chun was one. You had praying mantis. You had various animal forms or styles and systems in the Chinese martial arts. And you have Tai Chi. I mentioned Tai Chi earlier. And you have Bagua, or 8 diagrams, if you will. And then you have Xingyi. And it goes on and on and on. We have thousands of years of history of martial arts in China. Okay, you have all of those arts. And then you have Thailand, Muay Thai. Okay, the thing that Tony Jai made more popular in America when he came here and he did his movie Ong Bak, for one, and The Protector. Okay, so now I touched on Chinese. I touched on some Japanese, Okinawan. I didn't give you any specific arts in the Japanese karate and Okinawan. You have Shorin-ryu, Shotokan, Goju-ryu, Wei-shin-ryu, Ishin-ryu, and so on. Those are some karate systems and or styles. So Korean, Japanese, Okinawan, Chinese, Thai boxing, I touched on that. And then you have various other arts like the Filipino arts and Balink the Wat, Eskrima, Arnis, things of this sort. And then you have Bando, and you have various arts all over the world. You have martial arts systems and styles, especially from the motherland, Africa. Right? Now, but what's the best? What's the best martial art? Is it my art? Jinindo? No. I'm humble. I believe strongly in what I teach. I'm an advocate of Jeet Kune, Bruce Lee's concepts and principles. I'm an advocate of karate. Love karate and its foundation and its principles. I do. I love Wing Chun and its four-corner theory and its centerline structure and its directness. I love Taekwondo because of its powerful kicking techniques. I love Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi because of the flowing movements. I love Aikido for the same reason, even though it's a little diverse, a little different. I love Ju-jit-su because of the science that's used on the ground and understanding how the human body works and having an answer to every technique on the ground, virtually. But what's best? I love boxing as well. Can't leave that out. But what's best? Nothing. By what measuring stick are we using to say that this art is better than the next? It's the court of the people Really. It's the people's opinions. That's it. None of us know what's the best martial arts style or system, because the style or system does not exist without a human being practicing it. Should I say that again? I know there's a lot of you out there that love me when I speak truly, honestly, directly to you. Should I say it again? Nothing in the world, for that matter, to include martial arts, nothing can exist without a human being behind it. Not at all. So when you say, oh, Wing Chun, for example, Wing Chun Kung Fu is superior. Is Wing Chun a person? Is Wing Chun a ghost? Is it an animal? Is it a man or woman? No, it's concepts. It's principles based on physics, based on science, as are the other martial arts styles and or systems. They are only as effective as the individual that is practicing, that is training in it, that is applying it. And that can vary from person to person to person to person. So if someone beats you today, does that mean that their particular art is superior to yours? What if you beat them tomorrow? Let's look at boxing, professional boxing. There were fighters that beat Muhammad Ali. He came back and beat them. So can you say that their art was dominant the whole time? It all depends on any given day. It really does. It depends on how much time you, the individual, put into your own craft. And at the end of the day, and the moral of the story is this: stop trying to compare what you do to what someone else is doing. And why can't we just accept other people's styles and systems for what they are and leave good enough alone? If it's not affecting you in a negative way, just leave it alone. And only worry about what you have. Perfect you. And as my friend always says, karate teacher in Shotokan, he said, just shut up and train. That's all you have to do. Shut up and train. Do you, and stop worrying about everybody else and who's better than who, what style's better than who sings better than who's the greatest in this versus this other individual. Why can't we all get along? That's really it in a nutshell. I hope that this video was of great value to you, and I know it was. You have a great day. Brother Teacher out.